right, we got your energy stories for this, the 5th and last week of March 2022. In the first one, let's talk power gen. News out of New Jersey. Exelon-owned Atlantic City Electric plans to retire the last two coal-fired plants in the state of New Jersey, which certainly helps the state advance a few steps closer to its goal of 100% carbon-free grid by 2050. Exelon indicates that it'll be buying out the current power purchase agreements, which would have run through 2024, perhaps saving customers as much as $30 million. Now let's move to renewables, specifically starting with solar and then offshore wind. New York Governor Kathy Hochul announced recently that New York is now the largest community solar market in the United States, with over a gigawatt of community solar installed, enough for nearly 200,000 homes, with a pipeline of nearly another 2 gigawatts in the offing. The state's Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act aims for 70% of the state's electricity to come from renewables by 2030. And just to the northeast, Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee has advanced plans to boost the state's supply of electricity from offshore wind. Legislation introduced in the General Assembly at his urging would require that an RFP be issued this summer for another 600 megawatts of offshore wind for the ocean state. Meanwhile, way down south, Shell is seeking environmental investigation licenses for 6 offshore projects in Brazil, with a total installed offshore wind capacity of 17 gigawatts. And the Dutch government, in the meantime, just designated 3 new locations while confirming 2 previously designated areas in the North Sea for offshore wind, now with a total of 10.7 gigawatts, and doubling its offshore wind goals for 2030 up to 21 gigawatts, 21,000 megawatts. Now let's move to electric vehicles. Highland Electric Fleets, the leading North American company that offers turnkey solutions for school bus fleet electrification, and Thomas Built Buses, one of the larger school bus OEMs, just signed an LOI to lower the upfront costs and accelerate adoption of e-buses with subscriptions through 2025 at prices on par with diesel. These two had already teamed up in a groundbreaking deal last year to supply 326 vehicle-to-grid capable school buses to Montgomery County, Maryland public schools, and this LOI is now meant to spur similar large-scale deals in North America. Under the full subscription model, operators get buses, charging infrastructure, managed charging, and fleet and driver training, as well as maintenance. Auto OEM Stellantis confirmed its plans to construct a 3rd battery factory, converting an existing plant over to make the cells it needs in Italy. The joint venture of Stellantis, Total, and Mercedes-Benz now plans on an annual manufacturing capability of at least 120 gigawatt hours by 2030 from plants in Germany, France, and Italy. Meanwhile, VW has officially confirmed the previously leaked plans for its 3rd battery cell factory, this one in Valencia, Spain. It will be a, quote, next-generation cell production, unquote, facility supplied with renewable energy that facilitates sustainable battery production. And on the power grid, the Q4 Energy Storage Monitor that just came out saw 2021 installing 3,506 megawatts and 10,498 megawatt hours of storage in the United States on the U.S. grid. The 10,498 megawatt hour figure almost triples the 3,528 number that went in 2020. And in the battery recycling space, metal supplier Aurubis recently started testing operation of a modular battery recycling pilot plant in Germany. It employs a proprietary hydrometallurgical process to pull out the critical minerals, the lithium, the nickel, the cobalt, the manganese from that so-called black mass that results when batteries are shredded. A battery recycling plant on an industrial scale is planned by Aurubis within 5 years. And then sticking with batteries, surprise, Koch Industries has emerged as one of the larger investors in the battery industry. The Wall Street Journal reported last week that Koch has invested at least $750 million in a minimum of 10 companies in the battery supply chain and EV space, including a number of startups. Who knew? Well, those are our stories for the last week of March 2022. Thank you for watching, and we will see you again next week.